Hello, guys. It's Alex Wilson Campbell here from the Remote Work Life Summit. I'm the founder of the Remote Work Life Summit. And yesterday, we launched the Remote Work Life Summit. We had the first round of videos, and I wanted to thank you for joining in. And if you missed them, well, they're available at the moment on our Facebook group, but also if you register at remoteworklife.io and get on the mailing list, that's the best way to get the videos, is to be registered on my mailing list at remoteworklife.io. The speakers we had yesterday were Aaron Hurst, who is the CEO of Imperative.com, and he's an expert in purpose in the world of work, and that's so important when it comes to actually understanding the sorts of people and businesses that you are likely to align with, to get on with. There was also a session from the CEO of Help Scout, Aaron Hurst. Sorry, not Aaron Hurst, Nick Francis. And Nick Francis talked much about culture. He talked about what it's like to work as a remote worker, what to expect. And again, a great session, and it's still available in the Facebook group, but it's also available at remoteworklife.io for you for a limited period of time. So get there quickly. Who else did we hear from yesterday? We heard from Andy Cope, who is an expert. He's a PhD in psychology, human psychology. And he talked about, how sometimes we can feel negative and how that can affect others around us, not just our family. It can also affect our colleagues in work. And obviously nobody wants to work with somebody who is negative. So he talked about strategies as to how we can sort of repel that negativity. I mean, we're all going to have days, aren't we, where things don't work out as we want them to work out. But there are things that we can do to actually try and push that negativity away. But one of those things actually is talking about it to somebody, sharing your ideas, sharing your thoughts. So we had Andy Cope as well, and also we had happyologist Susanna Hallinan, who talked about passion. Passion. We're all these days talking about passion, identifying our passion, because the idea now is that we follow our passion in order to make, if we follow our passion, we can make a living from our passion. But the idea of understanding what our passion is where Susanna comes in, because her principles are based around the idea that our passions are within us, and all we have to do is unlock them. Instead of searching for them, we have to unlock them from within us. So there were 4 great sessions yesterday, which kicked off the Remote Work Life Summit. There are more sessions to come. That particular batch of sessions was part of the Discover pillar of the Remote Work Life Summit, because we have to discover all those things before we can then move on to either start the business that we want to start or work for the organization that we want to work for. We have to understand all of those things that I've just talked about: passion, purpose, all those sorts of things. So that is part of the discovery or Discover pillar. And I just wanted to just really put my spin on things as well, and share with you some ideas that I think can possibly help you, and possibly help you to sort of put that into action yourself, because that's something you're going to have to do to move forward. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you a bit more about the speakers that are coming up later on as well. So my ideas in terms of the that particular area of discovery, 4 ideas for you that can help you to find yourself and to discover who you are. And these are just ideas, and I want to know what you think. Let me know what you think. Either send me an email or drop a comment if you're watching on Facebook at the moment. And what I'd say is, if you want to really understand if your purpose, if your passion is something that can really translate into something that you can do for a living, there's 4 ideas to share with you. So the first idea is to really identify a problem in the world that is dear to your heart and a problem that you would really be engaged in solving. You know, there are many types of different problems in the world. You know, we've got the issue with plastics. We've got issues with nutrition and health issues. We've got all sorts of issues, all sorts of problems and issues in the world that we, you know, potentially can help to solve, and that we could turn into something that could extend to our day job. And if the idea, as I said, is before, if we can then identify that problem, and it's a problem that we're engaged with, it's likely that we're going to stick with it. We're going to be really passionate about it, and we're going to just really take it forward. So just to give you an example, the example I'm going to give you actually is Nick Francis himself, the CEO of Help Scout. The problem he identified, and he said, I mean, it's not a new problem by any means, was the customer service issue and dealing with customer service issues online. That's one of the things that he identified. There's obviously lots of people come with queries, come with complaints, the things that are happening online, especially obviously if you've got a website. That's probably the biggest point of access for people to make those complaints. And the other thing is as well, with Nick and Help Scout and their particular software, it also helps solve the problem for businesses of actually engaging with people who visit their website. So Nick identified that as his problem, the problem that he wanted to solve. And that's the first idea, is identifying the problem. The second idea I have for you is, in order for anything to work as a business, there's got to be people out there who are actually buying into that problem. So one of the things, again, looking at the problem that Nick identified, he also not only did he identify the problem, but there was a certain culture shift that he looked at as well, that he identified. Is there a culture shift in the problem that you've identified? So that culture shift in Nick's case with Help Scout was that more and more businesses, especially small businesses, were setting up websites online, and with the intention of doing business, with the intention of engaging with their customers online. So that was the culture shift that Nick identified, because businesses, they needed some support in order to sort of, like I said, engage those customers, to deal with the problems that the customer service issues that customers were bringing up. So that was the culture shift. What culture shifts can you identify about in relation to the problem that you've identified? Because without that culture shift, without that sort of area where people are buying into that particular problem, it may be that your idea is possibly viable, is possibly not viable. So you've got to identify a real culture shift that's probably going to give you some sustainability with your business, or whichever path you want to take. So that culture shift, you identify the culture shift. The next idea for you is working to actually solve that problem. So actually doing the hands-on work to actually see if that problem is something that people want to be solved. And in some ways, by working on that problem, you actually begin to validate your idea, or you validate the fact that this is something that you're really passionate about. So there's a validation there for you. So working to solve that problem. Somebody who I interviewed a number of years ago, the late Pamela Hartigan, she put it as apprenticing with a problem. Now, apprenticeships in this country, in the UK, I'm not sure if you have apprenticeships in America or elsewhere, but you have, similar to internships, where you work to actually begin to solve that problem. And you can either do that as a business, or you can actually go into a company that solves that particular problem. You can work for a company that solves that particular problem. And then you can understand, is this culture shift something that's going to sustain me if I set up a business, or if I choose this as my career path? So that's something that's really important, is actually apprenticing with that particular problem to understand if it's something that there's some sustainability in there, and to also begin to validate your idea. And then closely linked with that, number 4 on this whole sort of there's ideas that I want to share with you is, what role do you want to play when it comes to actually on that mission that you've identified and that problem that you've identified, that area of purpose that you've identified? What role do you want to play? Do you want to be, and Aaron Hurst touched on this, and this is an idea that I got from Aaron Hurst, and I'd urge you to watch his session at the Remote Work Life Summit if you've not. But the idea is that in terms of the role you want to play, do you want to be the person on the front line dealing with that problem? Do you want to be the person who has that frontline responsibility, who's dealing with the customers that are coming through on a day-to-day basis? Excuse me. Do you want to be that person on the front line who is what many people say at the coalface of that particular problem and being right at the heart of the problem? Or do you want to be the person who manages those people who are at the coalface of the problem? You know, the people at the coalface are just as important as anybody else, but you know, a part of your identifying your purpose is also understanding the role that you want to play within actually executing that particular purpose. Do you want to be that coalface? Do you want to be the person managing those people at the coalface? Or there's another area. This is just a very simplistic idea. It doesn't have to necessarily be like this, but the third role, as it were, is the person who is in charge of the strategy for actually running that particular operation. So somebody, again, like Nick Francis, who's the CEO of Help Scout, is overseeing all of those people. Although Nick does actually work on the coalface himself from time to time, he's the, I suppose, the idea behind it. So he's the one who has the ideas and strategies behind it. But obviously he feeds into his management team, he feeds into the people at the coalface, at the very forefront, on the front end of the problem, to understand. So which role do you want to play when it comes to executing your purpose? Is it that frontline role? Is it that management role? Or is it that strategic role at the very sort of heart of things? So those are the four ideas I wanted to share with you. I hope those ideas are something that you, well, tell me what you think about them. I mean, there may be things that I've missed out. If you could just if you're watching this live, leave a comment. If you want to drop me an email, drop me an email to tell me if you think these ideas are good. The ideas, as I said, just in summary, were identifying the problem, identifying the culture shift, working to actually solve that problem, whether that be by setting up a business if you're in a position to do that, or working with a business that already solves that particular problem or is related to that particular problem, apprenticing with that problem. That's what that whole idea is, actually interning with that problem, I suppose you could say. And the final idea that I shared with you is, what role do you want to play in that? Do you want to play frontline, management, or CEO, strategic level? So that's what I've got for you today. What I'd urge you to do is, as I said, watch the sessions from Nick, from Aaron, from Andy, and from Susanna. Those will be live for a period of time for you, at 48 hours. So watch them while you can. There are more sessions coming up later on. Look out for those. The best way to actually get those sessions when they become active online is to be part of my mailing list, my insiders mailing list. So you get a ticket essentially for the Remote Work Life Summit. So if you go to remoteworklife.io to get your ticket, get a ticket, and I'll send you an email as soon as those new sessions become live. And today, well, the next sessions, great sessions. The sessions are with the CEO of the Barrett Value Center, Richard Barrett. And now, I mean, Richard's session is linked to the yesterday's sessions, in the sense that he talks about values in the world of work, because it's all well and good identifying your mission, your purpose, but values alignment is important for you to thrive within an environment. If you're feeling a sense of disengagement, if you're feeling low, if you're feeling unhappy in the world of work, it may be that your values are not aligned in your current situation. And Richard tells you some ideas on how you can go about changing that. And then we have Scott Barlow. Scott Anthony Barlow. He's a thought leader and coach on the idea of strengths and identifying your strengths. We've all probably been asked the question at some point, tell me what's your biggest strength. Scott's session will talk you through how to identify your strengths and the importance of identifying your strengths and working to your strengths. So don't miss his session. It's coming up very soon later on. And next, we also have Leon Richards as well in today's group, today's batch of videos. He's the CEO of Good Talent. He's a remote recruiter. He lives in Spain at the moment. Leon, actually, I used to work with Leon, and Leon, a few years ago now, he paid off the mortgage for his house in the UK, left everything in the UK, bought a house in Spain, is living mortgage and rent free now in Spain with his family, and runs his remote business. And this particular session is useful for you if you're looking to go into the world of work, actually, because he talks about the fact that you don't necessarily need recruiters to get your next role. But on top of that, he does talk about some of his experience in terms of finding his purpose as well. So it is linked with all the other sessions. So whether you're looking to go into the world of work or not, or whether you're looking to sort of set up your own business, this is something that you should watch. So that's all I have for you for now. Look out for the new sessions that are coming up for the next stage of the Remote Work Life Summit. We are at remoteworklife.io, and I look forward to seeing you soon. And send me your feedback on this session, and can't wait to share with you the next sessions. Speak with you soon.